In my previous video, I have clearly explained how to remove the master cylinder from your bike and install a new one if you're trying to upgrade your master cylinder. However, most of the people would like to get the old performance back from the same old master cylinder. If you had tried bleeding your brakes and still are not happy with the performance, then the reason could be a weak piston in your master cylinder. For people who have already watched my previous video, you can skip to the timestamp that is shown in the video. For others, let me explain how to remove the master cylinder from your bike. Start by undoing the two screws holding the master cylinder cap. Then remove the plastic followed by the rubber diaphragm that is inside the master cylinder. Using a syringe, draw all the old brake fluid out of your bike, ensuring that the brake fluid doesn't fall onto your painted parts. If this happens, rinse the surface immediately. Next, remove the 14mm banjo bolt using a hex socket or a ring spanner. Don't forget to correct the two copper washers, which is very important to avoid any brake fluid leakage. Next, remove the two 8mm bolts holding the master cylinder assembly. Once this is done, disconnect the two cables which is connected to the brake light switch. Once the master cylinder is out, let's see in this video how to entirely overhaul your master cylinder and regain its old performance back if you are a person who is just looking forward to get the old performance back. A quick note, this process can be done even if the master cylinder is mounted onto your bike. If you are someone like me who likes to protect your bike, by all means, I suggest you to remove the master cylinder to do this process. The only reason being, it can reduce the mess and also can avoid the brake fluid spillage onto your bike painted parts. Now let's start the overhauling process. Start by cleaning the inner surface of your reservoir using a clean cloth as shown in the video. Now, using a 10mm socket or a ring spanner, remove the nut which is secured against the brake lever bolt. Once the 10mm nut is out, using a flathead screwdriver, remove the bolt as shown in the video. Now, the brake lever is free to move out of your master cylinder. Next, start by removing the bush rod and the dust cap together. Since my master cylinder is pretty old, this did not come in one piece. So I have to struggle a little to remove it out. I'm using a flathead screwdriver here to remove the dust boot out of master cylinder. If your dust boot ripped off like mine, don't worry, use a flathead screwdriver and gently remove the seal out of the master cylinder. As you people can see, there's a ton of brake fluid inside the dust boot which should not happen. This happened only because the piston was leaking and I was losing pressure on the brake. After cleaning the area, use a circlip plier in order to remove the circlip lock which is holding the piston. Once the circlip lock is removed, you can remove the piston and its spring out of the master cylinder. Before installing any new components, let's clean the entire master cylinder cavity using WD-40. Once you are done with cleaning, inspect the master cylinder slot where the piston goes for any scratches or damages. Even if you have a minor scratch, it is suggested to replace the entire master cylinder as there is no point of overhauling it. Now, let me show you the new major kit that I got from Bajaj, and let me tell you what mistake I have done which you can avoid. In the major kit, you get a new set of springs, a new piston, and the dust cap along with the push rod, and a new circlip lock. The piston that I have got is of metal, wherein my stock master cylinder got a plastic one. Since my NS is of non-ABS model, it had come with a plastic piston, where the metal piston is for the ABS models, but this can vary depending on when you had purchased your bike. It is suggested to check what sort of piston is used in your master cylinder before making a purchase. If you try to replace your plastic piston with a metal one or metal one with the plastic, it doesn't work, as both the pistons has different sizes. Now coming to the installation part, connect the smallest part of the spring that you received from the major kit to the piston's bottom part. If you had received any grease along with the master cylinder major kit, you can apply those onto the piston and the O-rings. Since I have not received any sort of grease, I am using the brake fluid to lubricate the piston and its O-rings. Once you have lubricated enough, insert the piston and its spring inside the master cylinder. Using a circlip plier, lock the piston and the spring inside the master cylinder as shown in the video. Make sure the circlip is properly seated in the slot that is given in the master cylinder. Check where the piston is moving smoothly and ensure that there is no stuttery feel while its movement. Once this is done, insert the push rod into the dust boot as shown in the video. There is a small slot on the push rod where the dust boot is seated, and make sure that it is seated properly. Now, insert the push rod and the dust boot inside the master cylinder and hold it as shown in the video. There is a small slot on the brake lever which you have to align to the push rod on the master cylinder. Once you get the alignment in place, insert the bolt that you removed before. Now, using a 10 mm hex socket or a ring spanner, tighten the bolt as shown in the video. Once this is done, you can install it back onto your bike and bleed your brakes and start riding your bike. I'll be making a separate video on how to bleed your brakes properly and remove all the air bubbles out of your system. This process of overhauling the master cylinder is not only dedicated to NS200 owners, but for all the bikes that is using a hydraulic type brake system. I hope this video was informative enough. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel.